Good afternoon, everyone. We started the year and Donald Trump promised that this would be the golden age in America. We're ending the year, and the overwhelming majority of the American people, including many so-called Trump supporters, know that this year has been a disaster for the American people. Last night, Donald Trump once again made it clear to the American people that he apparently still believes that the affordability crisis in this country is a hoax. It is not a hoax. The affordability crisis is very real. And one of the reasons why this year has been such a disaster for everyday Americans, under complete Republican control of government, they have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. They've had all year. They've had complete control of government, and they've done nothing to lower the high cost of living in this country. Now, Donald Trump and Mike Johnson and John Thune and House Republicans and Senate Republicans repeatedly promised to the American people last year that they were going to lower the high cost of living. In fact, they said that costs would go down on day one. They lied to the American people. Costs haven't gone down in the United States of America, and everybody knows it. Costs have gone up. Housing costs are out of control. Grocery costs are out of control. Electricity bills are out of control. Child care costs are out of control. And health care costs are out of control. And about to get worse because of the Republican health care crisis that has been devastating everyday Americans throughout this year. Why is Mike Johnson and House Republicans leaving town when there is legislation supported by a bipartisan majority of the House that would extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for 3 years? We should pass that bill and then send it over to the Senate before the end of the year, before the Affordable Care Act tax credits expire, so that tens of millions of Americans during the holiday season aren't threatened with their health insurance premiums, copays, and deductibles dramatically increasing, including the reality that many of these working class Americans will experience premium increases of $1,000 or $2,000 per month. That is unacceptable. That's why House Democrats successfully launched a discharge petition that secured 218 bipartisan signatures. And there's no reason why Mike Johnson can't bring that bill to the floor immediately. House Republicans have chosen to get out of town before sundown. And that's a shame. All they've done is reinforce the fact that their sole objective in this Congress, the sole objective of Donald Trump, the sole objective of the House Republican majority, is to enact massive tax breaks for their billionaire donors while jamming their extreme right-wing ideology down the throats of the American people and doing nothing at all, zip zero, nothing at all to make life better for the American people. It's extraordinary to us. I don't think these people want to win any more elections because they've literally done nothing to make life better for the American people. House Democrats, as we've repeatedly made clear, are in this fight until we win this fight. We're going to continue to work hard to drive down the high cost of living in this country. We're going to continue to work hard to fix our broken healthcare system. And we're going to continue to work hard to clean up corruption and deliver a country of the people, by the people, and for the people. Questions?
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Congressional Black Caucus put out a statement a little over an hour ago that reads in part, as Democrats prepare for the year ahead, The Congressional Black Caucus stands with Leader Hakeem Jeffries, as we know all House Democrats do. In our continued fight for the American people, we must keep our eye on the prize. I wanted to get your reaction to the statement. Have you seen it, and what is your response?
I have not had an opportunity to see the statement yet, but I'm appreciative of my colleagues in the CBC. I've been part of the CBC family from the very moment that I arrived on Capitol Hill, and it's a treasured relationship that I have with every single CBC member, and certainly with the Congressional Black Caucus. When I first came to the Congress, I walked into my first CBC meeting, and there's Jim Clyburn and Elijah Cummings and Eddie Bernice Johnson and Maxine Waters and John Lewis and so many other legends. And I'm trying to figure out, how did they let me into this room? That's what the CBC has meant to all of us who've had the opportunity to serve in this Congress this term, and of course in prior terms. And I'll always cherish, that relationship. Our focus is going to continue to be on making life better for everyday Americans, on lifting up the principle of liberty and justice for all, and on ending this national nightmare that Donald Trump and Republican extremists have visited on the American people all year. Donald Trump and these Republicans have broken every single promise that they made in terms of making life better for everyday Americans. Every single promise. And it's indisputable at this moment. Which is why they're on the run. It's why they've been defeated electorally across the country, up and down the ballot. And it's why I'm confident that we're going to take back control of the House of Representatives next year. Yep.
This is sort of a two-part question. First, what is your reaction to Trump's executive order rescheduling marijuana? And sort of part two to that is, do you anticipate that bumping into some of the regulations that came in the continuing resolution about hemp-related products?
We'll have to see how the language in the continuing resolution that was inserted, as I understand it, by Senator Mitch McConnell is reconciled with this particular executive order. More broadly, and I haven't had the opportunity to review the executive order, but I've supported marijuana reform throughout my entirety in public service, both in the New York State Legislature and as a member of Congress, and have worked with the administration in the past to get criminal justice reform over the finish line, connected to the First Step Act. And we welcome any opportunity moving forward to continue that work, to right-size our criminal justice system, to move away from the failed war on drugs, which includes a failed war on marijuana, and to deal with the mass incarceration epidemic that this country has suffered from, that is both unfair and undermines our economic productivity. Thanks.
Thanks, Leader Jeffries. Tomorrow is the deadline for the Epstein files to be released legally. Is it your expectation that the DOJ is going to cooperate? And if not, what is your expectation for what we will see tomorrow?
Based on my conversations with some of the top Democrats who've been working on this matter related to full and complete disclosure of the Epstein files, we do expect compliance. But if the Department of Justice does not comply with what is federal law at this point, there will be strong bipartisan pushback.
Thanks, Mr. Leader. What is the plan for Democrats going into January with regards to congressional stock trading? Congresswoman Luna and Congresswoman Mace came out of Speaker Johnson's office today, and they said that they had some sort of an agreement with a House Admin Committee on what they would put forward on stock trading. What are Democrats going to do with that? It seems like theirs won't address the executive branch.
House Democrats are going to continue to work hard to address the issues that we have in this Congress, and that, of course, will include my full and complete support for a congressional stock trading ban. But at the same period of time, I support the legislation that was just introduced this week that I don't think has a single Republican on it. Why? Because it would also include prohibiting the president and the vice president of any party from engaging in stock trading while they're in office. There is absolutely no justification for the president, who has far more power than any individual member of Congress, or the vice president, to be able to trade stocks in real time when they have more access to inside information than perhaps the entire United States Congress combined. As it relates to regulatory activity, because the executive branch controls the regulatory agencies in the United States of America, including the Securities and Exchange Commission. There is zero justification and rationale for allowing a president of any party or a vice president of any party to be able to engage in stock trading while they have the awesome power of the presidency, vice presidency, and executive branch in their hands.
Would you expect a discharge petition on the latest bill from Democrats?
There have been 3 successful discharge petitions over the last 3 weeks. We have successfully forced an up or down vote on the release of the Epstein files in support of the advocacy from the brave survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and the horrors that were visited upon them. Last week, we successfully discharged an up or down vote on legislation that restores collective bargaining rights for more than 1 million hardworking federal employees and overturned one of Donald Trump's first executive orders. 20 Republicans joined the overwhelming majority of the House Democratic Caucus to successfully discharge that bill and then vote it out of the House of Representatives. This week, we've currently succeeded in successfully discharging legislation to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for 3 years to prevent tens of millions of hardworking American taxpayers from experiencing dramatically increased health insurance costs so they can go see a doctor when they need one. There have been more successful discharge petitions in the last 3 weeks than there have been in the last 3 decades in the United States Congress. So we're working to deal with the healthcare crisis that's in front of us, because we still have unfinished business since Mike Johnson decided to adjourn the House of Representatives today and cancel votes tomorrow. Because Republican leaders want no part of actually keeping health care affordable for working class Americans, middle class Americans, and hardworking American taxpayers. We'll cross the next bridge when we get to it in terms of future discharge petitions. But what's in front of us right now is the need to finish the job and extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits.
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer is accusing Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and AG Keith Ellison of not cooperating with the committee's investigation into some of the widespread fraud happening there with the social services in the state. Do you think they should cooperate with the committee's investigation, and do you have concerns about what's happening in the state?
James Comer is a joke, an embarrassment, an unserious individual, and a malignant clown. Isaac.
I want to ask you about something back home in New York. There's a story that came today. I don't know if you've seen it, but I'll brief you on it if you haven't. What does it tell you about the incoming mayor and his administration that he picked for a senior position, someone who tweeted in the past about, quoting here, money-hungry Jews, and that the Far Rockaway train is the Jew train?
I haven't seen it, and so I'll comment on it subsequent to having an opportunity to actually review what you're presenting. Obviously, I would strongly disagree with those statements. I think I've been very clear in my views on that, but I'll have more to say when I've actually had an opportunity to review it.
Are you okay with the incoming mayor, appointing people like that?
Mr. Leader, I wanted to ask you about the Affordable Care Act subsidies. Some moderate Republicans have expressed frustration that they do want to see an extension, but they want some reforms, and the fact that you didn't endorse the other bipartisan discharge petitions. They're concerned that with this up or down vote in the House that will be coming in the new year, it won't be able to pass the Senate.
Who's concerned about that?
Some of the moderate Republicans who have been working on the ACA deals. So if this passes the House, as it appears it will, moves to the Senate and fails, would you consider endorsing one of those bipartisan deals?
Here's where we're at. We've got to make sure that the legislation that clearly has the support of a majority of the House of Representatives that would extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits in a straightforward way passes the House of Representatives. We also know that there's only one bill, our bill, that has a majority of senators supporting it, based on votes that took place earlier this month. In fact, the 3-year, straightforward, clean extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits, which the American people support, Democrats, Republicans, and independents, a majority of every single one of those categories, and an overwhelming majority of Democrats and independents, and a significant majority of traditional Republicans support a straightforward extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits, and so do a majority of members of the United States Senate. So the House has to work its will first. And once the House works its will, which should be taking place today, tomorrow, before the end of the year, but at least as early as when we get back in January, then we'll send the bill over to the Senate, and we'll see what the senators decide to do. We're not giving up this fight. We've made that very clear for months now, because we know we're on the right side of the American people. And we're in this fight until we win this fight, and winning this fight means making sure that the Affordable Care Act tax credits are extended.
Leader Jeffries, there have been a few votes in the last couple of weeks where if you had full attendance by House Democrats, then you would have defeated the Republican measure. What's going on with the attendance in your party? Is this an issue with Whip Clark? Like, how can you improve this in the new year?
Catherine Clark is doing a tremendous job, and we know that there are a handful of members who've had serious medical issues that they needed to make sure were addressed. And in addressing them, it ensures that they'll be back fully on the playing field next year. So that's clearly an important thing to do. And there may be one or two other members who are running for other offices across the country, and we're going to ensure that every single member is present and accounted for, particularly when we know there are significant votes of importance to the American people.
Leader Jeffries.
Mr. Leader, two questions. Just back on Epstein, I know earlier this week Leader Schumer indicated that they have a task force that's kind of a mix of lawyers working with some of the Epstein survivors and their lawyers. Is there a similar effort here on the House if and when these files are released? And then number two, just if you have a reaction to this board vote today to change the Kennedy Center name to the Trump Kennedy Center.
Well, Robert Garcia and Jamie Raskin are doing a tremendous job, along with Ro Khanna, as it relates to pushing for maximum transparency and consistent with the wishes and the advocacy that's been powerful from the Epstein survivors, making sure that there is information that is put into the public domain for the American people so that there can be accountability. And I look forward to continuing to work closely with Ranking Member Garcia and the members of the Oversight Committee who've been doing a tremendous job on the Democratic side, along with Jamie Raskin and others. With respect to the latest foolishness to come out of the Trump administration, I mean, it really seems to me at this point that Donald Trump doesn't give a damn about the prospects of the country and the Republican Party. The notion that Donald Trump has spent more time on the golf course than trying to keep health care affordable for the American people, or drive down the high cost of living, in and of itself is extraordinary. But then we layer on top of that, he can find $40 billion to bail out Argentina. He's trying to extort $230 million from the Department of Justice. He literally has ordered the destruction of the East Wing of the White House. At the same time, he says the affordability crisis is a hoax. Republicans are being crushed electorally all across the country. News of the demise of the Democratic Party was greatly exaggerated. And yet, what Donald Trump comes up with at this particular point in time to end the year is not ordering Mike Johnson, because he could have done that, to remain in Washington until we address the issue of health care affordability and extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits that the so-called Kennedy Center board wants to rename the Kennedy Center after Donald Trump. Are you kidding me? Like, how does that help deal with the affordability crisis in this country? These people are pathetic. They are sycophants. And these are individuals right now who are bending the knee to a loser. The Republicans are losers. Why are you bending the knee at this point in time? It's not clear to you that, as Michael Ray Richardson, the great former New York Knick, once said, the ship be sinking? It's over. This is the Titanic. I don't get it. I really don't understand the situation. Because these people promised that they were going to lower the high cost of living on day one. And they failed to do it in year one, let alone day one. And now their holiday gift to the American people is to continue to try to block our ability to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, but they want to rename, allegedly, the Kennedy Center after Donald J. Trump. These are sick people. Something is really wrong with these folks. And here's the final thing. They don't have the power to do it. Only Congress can rename the Kennedy Center. The wannabe king and his sycophantic minions can't do it. But they're going to create a spectacle across the country, and everybody's going to chase this story. But how does that actually help the American people who've already been convinced that Donald Trump is not focused on making their life better? The whole thing is extraordinary. And it's another indication of the fact that things have fallen apart quickly for Donald Trump and the Republican Party. And House Democrats are going to continue our commitment to the principle that in this great country, when you work hard and play by the rules, everyone should be able to live an affordable life, a comfortable life, and the good life. Not too much to ask for in the wealthiest country in the history of the world. Good paying job, good housing, good health care, good education for your children, and a good retirement. And that's what Democrats are going to continue to fight to achieve for every single American in this country. Thank you all. Happy holidays.